To add a text to your watch face, go to Add Components, then click on Text. Done. You've added a text component. Text components have the basic settings already covered in other components: placement, dimensions, rotation, tint, and color palette. To change the text from the component, you can double-click it, like this, then type the text you wish. Or, you can select the component and change the text using this text field input on the right sidebar. Once you've typed the new text, press Enter to set it. You can add long texts, but be careful with the length of the text, as WFS does not add line breaks. In case your text is too long, it might be cut out. But you can change the boundaries of the component to better fit it, like this. You can also add some customizations to your text. Let's check them out. This drop-down menu here allows you to set the font for the component select. Simply click on it and select the font you want to use. Watch Face Studio already provides you some fonts, but you can add extras. To do that, click on the drop-down, then select Add Font. A pop-up will show up for you to select the font file you want to use. WFS supports .ttf and .ott file formats. Once you've selected the font, it will be automatically applied to the component, but you still can change it. The Sync to Device option will force the content to use the font from the user's watch. To adjust the font size, use this input here. WFS also supports 3 kinds of text alignments: align to left, center, and align to right. You can also add some text transformations using these options here. You can set the text to be bold, set it to italic, add an underline, or a strike through. These last 3 options are actually a group. This means you can only set one of them. The first one will capitalize all the letters from the text. The second one will display the text as it was written. And the third will set all letters to lowercase. Another type of font we have is the Bitmap font. Bitmap fonts allow us to set images as text characters. To set this kind of font, first you need to select the Bitmap font option. By default, Watch Face Studio will set an empty Bitmap font. To change the characters that compose these fonts, click on this engine icon down here. It will open a pop-up. In here you can add the images to the corresponding character. WFS already provides some basic character slots, like numbers, symbols, and other texts that are common. To add an image, choose the corresponding character slot and click on the plus button. For example, I'll add images to represent the numbers 0, 1, and 2. You can also add some custom text. To do that, go to the tab Custom, click on Add Text String, then type the text and click on OK. You can add as many custom texts as you wish. To remove a custom text, click on Delete. To add an image to the custom slot, repeat the same process. Click on the plus icon, then select the image. In case you've selected the wrong image or you want to change it, simply click on the slot and select a new image. To save this bitmap font, click on OK. You can see here that the text seems to be empty. This happens because the characters that compose this text are not present in our bitmap font. Remember, we've only added the numbers 0, 1, and 2 and the text SA to our font. If I set a text that uses those characters, we will see the corresponding images. So be careful with this feature. Characters that were not added will not be rendered. Okay, you can see here that the font is set to 24 and the input is disabled, so you can't change the size. This happens because we set the default font size of the bitmap to be 24. If you click on the engine icon down here, you can see the default font size input up here. Each image slot has a size too, as you can see here. These sizes represent the original size of the images. The images that are used for the numbers 0 and 1 have a size of 120 pixels, and the image I used to represent the number 2 has a size of 450 pixels. This is not a good practice, because watch face format will have to resize each image to 24 pixels every time the image is used. This will consume battery. Besides, adding images larger than necessary will also use more space and memory, and the scaling might also reduce the resolution. My recommendation is for you to check the size your font will use beforehand. Create the images using the correct size, and set the default font size to be the same value. Your watch face will have a better performance this way. I'll leave this way, as it is just a demonstration. But let's say you want to scale it. Even though I don't recommend doing that, simply disable the Apply Default Font Size option here. Now you can set the size as if it were a regular font. You can also add more bitmap fonts by clicking on the Font drop-down menu and selecting the option Add Bitmap Font. That pop-up will show up empty for you to select the images for this new font. Once you're done, click on OK. This time, as this is not the default font file, it will request a name for this bitmap font. Type the name, then click on OK. Done. You've added a second bitmap font. OK, let's add another text component. Click on Add Component, select Text, and Done. You can see that this text was initialized using the default fonts. In case you wish to change the initial fonts for this project, click on this menu icon on the top. Inside the project menu, click on Settings. Down here, you can select the initial font for the components. Just select the fonts you want, then click on OK. If we add another text component, this time it will use the new initial settings, as you can see. What if you want to remove a font from the project? For that, open that same pop-up. Click on the menu icon, then Project, then Settings, and then inside the drop-down you will find the fonts you've added, along with an X button. If you click on the X, the font will be removed. The same goes for bitmap fonts. However, if a font is being used, the X will not be displayed. In this case, I'm using this font in one of the text components. That's why the X is not here. Now let's talk about curved text. A curved text is a text that is rendered around a curved path. Let me show you. First, add a text component. I'll set a longer text here for the curve to be more visible. Then, on the right sidebar, expand the curved text group by clicking on this arrow here. Then select the Apply Curved Text option. Done. The text is now curved. Curved text settings are straight to the point, but they can be a bit confusing at first. Just to help out my explanation, I'll add a rectangle shape here and set it to have a 200 by 200 pixel size. This is not required for you to add a curved text. Again, this is just to help me explain the curved text. With the rectangle added, let's select the text component again. In the right sidebar, inside the curved text group, let's set the curving size to 200 by 200 pixels. You can disable the aspect ratio if you need to. Now let's align those two components. Select them both. Then select the option to align to the left and then to align to the top, relative to one another. As you can see here, the 200 by 200 pixels size of the curved text is related to the circular path, not the component boundaries. The boundary size is half of the size I set in this particular case. If I set the font to the minimum value, 1, you will see that the circular path fills the entire square. And as I increase the size of the font, the circle inside the components changes its size, but the top of the font stays around that path I showed you. But what if I want to change the starting and ending points of the path? For that, you need to set the range angles. The first value here indicates the starting angle point. This point is always at the top center, unless you rotate the component. The second value here indicates how much angle the path will have, starting from the initial point. This is called angular distance. For example, the angular distance now is 180, and the initial angle is 0. This means that the path will go from 0 until 0 plus 180, in this case 180. If I set it to 90, it will go from 0 until 0 plus 90, that is, 90. If I set the initial angle to be 20 and the angular distance to be 200, the path will start at 20 and will go to 20 plus 200, that is, 220. You can see that the angular distance goes in a clockwise direction. You can change that to counterclockwise by using this drop-down here. The starting angle stays the same. However, the angular distance now goes in the opposite direction. These options up here are just predefined values. When you click on one of them, the starting angle and angular distance are adjusted to meet the corresponding style. Before finishing this topic, it's worth mentioning that you can customize the curved text using the font settings groups as well. However, some customizations and the bitmap font are not available in the curved mode.